Alrighty, here we are in the third part of this video. It's not so much as a review, it's more of a instructional video, I suppose. If you got one of these pinners, the Dewalt DCN680, and you have a no fire situation, you can hear the motor running and it just clicks. Chances are it's your driver. It's most common wear part on it. So to change out the driver, it's pretty simple. You simply just remove all the screws in it, pull the two halves apart. Careful of the little spring down here for the selector switch. Once it's open, these two halves come apart. Yeah. Somehow get it completely out of its cheap-ass plastic halves. Springs go flying. So, if anybody's interested, this is the clamshell half. It's not particularly impressive. Pretty plasticky sounding, not a lot of gusseting. I guess lightweight is the name of the game. It's pretty light. So the way this thing operates is once you pull the trigger, once you press the tip down, it actuates this linkage, which hits this switch on this motor telling, or on this control board right back in here. AVE could probably tell you more about this control board than I can. That seems to be what he knows, one of the many things he knows a lot about. But there's a little button on the control board, but this little dog leg, which is another part that wears out. I can show you how to replace that if you'd like. Comment down below. And so now that I've got two hands, let me show you what I was talking about. You can plug it in, don't short it out. Yeah, I know, metal worktop bench, not ideal. Got my gloves on, safety second or third. So, once the battery's in, you can depress the tip or bypass the tip and just hit this dog leg and the trigger should fire it. Depending on which position you have the switch in is how it's going to react, how many times you can fire it. So what's happening here, can I unplug it now? What's happening in this thing is when you press this button, it tells the controller that you've got bullets in it, because the tip won't depress with no pins in it. So you can open it, or you can put pins in it, or you can, oops, losing shit. Or you can bypass it and press the button there. That tells the motor all the safeties are in place and the motor can run. Can't tell you how many RPMs this thing runs at right now, but it goes fast enough to throw this thing. It's got a little bit of inertia to it, but not much. Throw this thing all the way down, hitting the pin, driving it right in. So the way that happens is there's a solenoid up top here. The solenoid, when the trigger is pulled, the solenoid pulls back, driving this that's suspended in here down into these little grooves on the motor, upside down into the motor. So this is the sacrificial part. This will eventually wear out because there's no lubrication, because you want as much traction as you can get. I've replaced a couple motors. They're kind of pricey, but probably way less than half the price of the replacement of these. So after a couple 100,000 shots of these, especially after rapid fire, it gets pretty warm and it starts to wear metal really quickly, and you might be able to see right there how shiny that is and how thin they get, how pointy they get. So when this thing just goes click, it's usually this. Other things that wear out, like I was saying, this little dog leg here wears out. It becomes out around right there, so when you press this, it's not actuating far enough to click that little micro switch in there. These are cheap. There's a trick to replacing them. Normally what you'd have to do is pull this back half off, and that's how you get your driver out through there. Once the back half is out, you can slide this control port out, unplug it, unscrew the 3 connections there, and then unfangle this. Now, I found a quicker way to do it. Give me a flathead screwdriver. This will actually flex up enough that you can actually get past it. Do it on the top side so it's not in your way. Flex that up, get this over here, and there. Now it's out. So you might be able to see, I gotta work on my lighting and my rig here, but this little part here gets out around. It's softer than this part, which is a composite. This is just a nylon of some sort. I'm sure AV will tell you all sorts about it. All I've got is a part number on it, but it wears out. It's like a couple dollars for this part. It's pretty simple to put back in reverse order. Flex that up, get it into your hole over top, pop it up over top of the micro switch casing, and pop her down. And she's back together. So I guess that's the end of this video, and once I edit it all up, the final video will be back together, and I'll show you it operating.